In this video, let's cover the paragliding certification and the misconceptions of it and the limitations of the certification process and why there is limitations.
Yeah. So I think, the certification process is the best that we've got. It's taken a lot of work to get it to where it is. So this isn't me bashing the certification, and it clearly creates different levels of wings. An ENA is very different to an END. What I feel the problem is our flying community has taken this system and taken it way out of context. It has bred an accepted incompetence in that if you fly a safe wing, an ENA, just put your hands up if it goes wrong. And what people don't realise is that wings can behave way out of certification. So if you're not a test pilot, if you are not in calm air and you don't have a collapse on a certain kink angle, then the certification is completely different. Just by having a higher sweep on a collapse can cause a massive different result. Just by falling into it, just by pulling a bit of brake and releasing it. I can take an ENA over the lake and get END collapses out of it all day long. I can take an END over the lake and only get ENA collapses out of it by doing the right thing. So we, as pilots, completely changed the certification. But even if we did manage to stay completely still like a test pilot, if it's thermic air that's caused the collapse, or if the collapse is a different size or different shape to certification, you're going to get a different result anyway. But then we've got the human factor that we're always going to do something. If it's the right thing, it's going to calm the thing down. If it's the wrong thing, it can make things worse. Yeah. So I think if everyone knew that your nice, safe ENA can give an END collapse the first time you fly it, then people would think, oh shit, I better learn how to fly this thing. And in every other form of aviation, pretty much, you have to know what happens when it goes wrong. So yeah, just because the way certifications worked is that it helps beginner pilots. So your ENA glider has got a lot less energy than an END. It moves less, it has more forgiving brakes, it's more pitch stable, more roll stable. It's helping you out. It's like having a car that's got ABS brakes and an airbag. It's safer than a car that hasn't, and it helps you. The cars now that have got the driving assist, so you can't. All these things are helping you, but you would never think, oh, well, I don't need a driving license. I'll just go and drive the car. I can't crash it. And people seem to think that with the ENA low B gliders is like, oh, well, they're safe, so I don't need to know what to do. And the old thing of like, put your hands up and do nothing is exactly the right advice half the time. And it's completely the wrong thing the other half. Like if your glider is shooting aggressively, just don't put your hands up. You have to put them all the way down. So it's exactly the wrong thing to do. And yes, okay, if our natural instinct is to overpilot and get into a cascade, then putting your hands up is the right thing. But the right thing to do is the right thing to do at exactly the right time. Yeah. So you have to learn that. You have to learn it. So people are really surprised on courses. Like I love when people start pulling collapses and they pull a high kink angle and their glider shoots and fucking hell. Like, yeah, of course that can happen. And that's in calm air. It's just a high kink angle. So now, next time it shoots hard, if it does, get on that brake. And then they'll pull a different collapse. So, no, now try pulling it outwards. Boom. Lower kink angle. Oh, it's a completely different wing. So that just needs to be way more mainstream knowledge, is that there is no such thing as a safe paraglider. There is a paraglider that has things that will help you. And then as you get up through to END, like I fly Triple C, most aggressive wings that they have. I've never thrown my reserve on any wing other than a mid-air. And even though like I fly Triple C, you literally have the power of that wing in your hands. So I dictate whether it shoots hard or not. If the wing is above your head and then it ends up anywhere else, you have let it. And there's a thing of like, okay, it happens quick, and if we're not current or if we're in really violent air, it can happen really quickly, but we've still let it. Yeah. So if rotations to the ground are the biggest killer in our sport, but we've let the wing go from above our head into a rotation. Yeah. So to me, it doesn't matter what wing you fly. Like when people turn up on the wrong wing, they kind of understand quickly that they're on the wrong wing potentially. But if you want to fly that wing, great. Become a good enough pilot to fly that wing and take that responsibility. It's a bit like, it's easy to fly in competitions. You've got 100 pilots around you. There's safety in numbers. But take that same pilot and put them near Mont Blanc with glaciers and up high in a rough thermal, exposed by yourself. You have to take that responsibility on. So whatever wing you want to fly, you need to take the responsibility to learn how to fly it properly. And I think it's a real shame that we have this accepted incompetence in our sport, because it kills so many people. Because if you get even a tiny cravat and you've just been like, well, it's an A, I'll put my hands up and do nothing, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You're going to die. It doesn't matter that it's an A.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take that much training. If you go to a good training provider that teaches you well, doesn't throw you in at the deep end, which is another topic. It's difficult to find the right SIV instruction. It's not that hard to actually learn how to stop rotations and have situational awareness and learn the power of the brakes, how forceful we can be. And then you'll have just a happy, you can have 40, 50 years in this sport and not hit the ground in a rotation. But it's a shame that certification, like, it creates these nice classes and it creates some really nice wings for the different levels of pilots, but it's been taken way out of context to the point where people think
people don't actually understand what certification does. Like there's a, like it's just as you said, it's ENA, it must be safe, and that's all. There's only about 30 something tests that are done, and they're done exactly as described. Like a 45 angle collapse is one, and then there's 50% collapse and so on. And it has to reopen without pilot's input in a certain angle of pitch or turn or whatever. And it's true for all the rest of the maneuvers, and they are publicly available. There's description publicly available. You can see what exactly. I can put a link down, and I went through the test pilot training, so I have all the tests described. It's been a while, so 2016 is the papers I have personally, but I can ask Alan to send me the latest updates if there is any. And it's just step by step. You repeat the same collapse exactly, and the difficult part is creating exactly the collapse. And the reason for that, a test has to be repeatable. Any test, if you're going to test something, it has to be exactly the same on all the wings, so you can compare which to that base. That base doesn't mean that the ENA is twitchy or not. It doesn't mean that a B wing is going to be a maniac or it's going to be super nice and calm. Because between an Epic and which is a B wing, to, let's say, Carriera, which was a B wing as well, there's two completely different wings. And they will react completely different in real life, even though it's a B.
And also, so that's the thing with certification, like you said, is like, it's in calm air and the test pilot learns to do nothing. So if you just change one parameter, the test pilot does something. It will either stay straight and calm, or if you fall into it, or you stall that side, you create completely different. Or you have a good test pilot that doesn't do anything, but actually he hasn't pulled the collapse, a thermal has done it, and suddenly you're in cascading air. You get a different result.
And so the reason they do it in calm air and all that, it is because it has to be repeated. There's too many things that can happen to you in real life, and there's too many air conditions in real that it's impossible to repeat that or emulate it in a way that is repeatable.
There's 1,000 different size collapses with 1,000 different kink angles and 1,000 different things you can do with your body.
Plus the weather on top of that, and the combination of all of it mixed in between. So it's impossible to have a test that will replicate all of it. And that's the important thing for people to understand, that's the difference. And it's tested in that way because it has to be repeatable, and it gives some sort of guidelines what the wing is, what's the tendencies of the wing. It doesn't mean it's not going to go and shoot under you if you put, as we took, put a bit of a brake, it will go anyway. And
it works. Like the test, it creates these different even though the category, especially the B category, can be quite large, it does make different wings. So it's working, but it's been taken out of context.
It's not the test that is wrong. It's that people misunderstand them.
Yeah.
They take it completely that it's something else.
Yeah. Like the other thing as well, I think, is a bit can be shocking to people, is that you get on a new wing and it's supposed to be a B, and you pull a collapse with maybe too high a kink angle, and you get a C result. You go, I'll try that again. Another C, and then you get the right kink angle, B. Okay, good. That's what we want. Another one, B. Oh, it's a B, even though you've just got 2 C collapses. People are like, oh my god, how is that? How can you get a C collapse on a B? How would that pass the test? It's like, well, if it's not the test collapse, then it can act out of it.
And I can say from my own experience, learning to become a test pilot is incredibly difficult. To get the collapse exactly as you want every single time is incredibly difficult. And then every wing is different. And it takes a lot of training. And there's not very many test pilots out there in the world. It's a hard job, and it's not easy to do. And so for the certification, and on top of that, it has made the sport safer. The EN certification has created
for sure.
the shock test, the load test. It has made a big difference.
It works, It works, and it creates very different wings. But the general public's knowledge of its limitations just needs to be,
I think, that
thought about.
And that's more of a responsibility of instructors and schools in the world. And certification could maybe do some more explanation publicly, or the companies could do that, manufacturers of the wings, but instructors are the ones who teach these things.
But I think, every wing should just come with a big, danger warning, this is an ENA, but it can produce wildly different results from the thing, get training, take it,
That's actually not too hard to add to a manual.
Exactly, yeah.
It's one page.
Exactly, yeah. And this should, if this was common knowledge, you finish it at your EP, CP, and it's like, okay, this is the best wing for you because it's dampened in pitch and roll. It's going to give you time to learn these movements. But now you've got this basic training, go and get better training.
That's another thing people don't do. They do the CP, which is the initiation and the second level. It's usually 2 levels in most countries, the first and the second step, and that's it.
Yeah.
They maybe do a sieve here and there once in the blue moon, and that's about it. They don't actually go on progress.
Yeah.
And
maybe we can talk about it in the next video.
Yeah, let's talk about it in the next video. Good, that's a good one.